On behalf of the chairman, Senator Warren.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So one of the primary purposes of this hearing is to evaluate your command's budget requests. Most federal agencies have to balance their must-haves against their nice-to-haves when it comes to requests for money, and they have to account for long-term costs. For example, the maintenance of fleet vehicles that they want to buy, but not the Department of Defense. DoD submits its budget for the things it wants, and then it submits a second list of things that they want funded, and they don't add what the long-term costs will be. DoD calls this second list unfunded priorities. I call it a wish list. Now, last year, some parts of DoD stuck to their budgets and didn't put anything on a wish list, but not SOCOM. Nope. SOCOM got $13.2 billion in its regular budget, then turned around and asked for $656 million additionally. Now, one of the items on SOCOM's wish list last year was $8.7 million to ensure that a SOCOM armament facility could meet blast exposure standards that protect service members from traumatic brain injury. General Fenton, do you agree that if SOCOM needs funding for a project that will ensure that it is in compliance with basic safety standards and help protect workers from brain damage, that project should be part of the command's budget?
Senator, I put a high priority on safety.
So should it be part of your budget then?
Any budget I build will reflect my priorities, and priority is safety, and certainly aligned with the NDS.
So that means you think that something like this should be in the base budget?
Senator, I put a high priority on safety, and my budget will
But you're
align.
telling me your budget reflects your priorities, and somehow this didn't even make it in the basic budget. So look, let me ask it this way then. This armament facility improvements weren't funded last year. So are you going to put that in your base budget this year, or are you going to count on Congress to add extra money for it, which it didn't do last year?
Senator, the first thing I'll do is get intimately familiar with the armament facility you're discussing right now. 6 months into the job, I'm still working my way through a number of certainly locations in the special ops community, so I'll take that for the record and get back to you. But my budget will be reflective of my priorities that are aligned with the national defense strategy, and safety of our entire force is certainly a high priority for me.
Well, I appreciate that, but I just want to make another point for the record. I wasn't born yesterday. You know, I get what's happening here. SOCOM and other commands are gaming the system. They take costs that should be part of a base budget request, essential programs like funding to come into compliance with brain injury prevention standards, and then put them on the wish list, daring Congress not to fund them. And that way, they can boost their overall budget allocation. In January, I sent a letter to Secretary Austin, along with Senators Braun, Lee, and King, telling DoD not to send Congress any wish lists as part of this year's budget. So, General Fenton, this is your first time submitting a budget as the commander of SOCOM. You'll be sending it over to Congress this week, so you should be right on top of this. Will you pledge not to request any unfunded priority items on top of your annual budget request?
Senator, we'll submit the budget that reflects my priorities aligned against the NDS, and I will submit that, and any UPOL required by law that reflects facts of life changes, accelerated capabilities, and any additional NDS initiatives.
Let me stop you right there. I just want to be required. You need to submit a list. You are right. That is required by law. But you don't need to put anything in it or ask for any funding from it. The lists from European Command and Transportation Command were blank last year. That is, they lived within their budget. They did not come back for an additional bite at the apple. And I'm just asking if you will agree to do the same thing. That's what budgets are about. They're about making your priorities clear, and I want to know if you're willing to live within the budget that you have from the DoD and not come back here for more.
Senator, submit a budget that is aligned with my priorities and aligned with the NDS.
Is that a yes or a no?
Senator, as requested by law, and by law, I will submit a UPOL. I will take into consideration any facts of life
Okay,
changes. NDS
that's frankly,
priorities.
that's not even a very artful dodge. Look, we don't let any other part of the federal government behave this way, and for good reason. The budget process is about making tough choices and setting clear priorities. Anything in the regular budget must include an analysis of the long-term costs, not things that are on the wish list. I have a bipartisan bill to eliminate waste like this, but DoD could shut it down voluntarily right now, and I urge you to do that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.